Hey everybody, it's Mark again, and today we got something a little different. I've been wanting one of these clocks for quite some time. Um, it's not what the same kind of maker that I wanted. However, it is still an impressive clock. Um, I've been wanting a French baker's clock for quite some time. I've seen some on Marketplace. Whenever you contact them, I had one here just a few weeks ago that the lady told me whenever she got back off of vacation that she would sell it to me. She'd find out how much the shipping was. She was selling it for $30, which is extremely cheap. These things sell for well over $200. It had the raised um, porcelain numbers on it. I told her to find out how much shipping was. She told me it would cost me $40 to ship it. I said, I'm good with that. Send me a bill to my PayPal account so I could pay her. And then she gave me all kinds of excuses, and a couple of days later, the clock was sold. There was another time out in California where somebody was selling one for $25. I contacted a friend of mine who lives out in California. The clock was just a few minutes away from him. I believe it was a scam. He contacted her. She wanted like $15 up front, and he's like, well, I'll meet you in person and give you all of it in cash. And she never would give him an address. So anyway, this is a German baker's clock. So I hope y'all enjoy this video. Give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. As you can see, I'm sporting Seth Lingfelter's shirt designs. This is from my late 1800s Alexander Flieg cuckoo clock. The most expensive cuckoo clock that I have. I didn't pay that much for it. I did have to get it repaired by Steve Fowler, who is excellent in repairing or adding broken wood pieces. He doesn't do lathe work, but he carves really well. So I'll leave a link at the end of this video to Seth Lingfelter's YouTube channel. I'll probably even put it in the description of this video. So let's get started. Kick back, relax, grab something to eat, grab something to drink, grab a cigarette if you choose to do so. And I haven't had a cigarette since the 27th of May. Still chewing my Nicorette gum. So let's get started. As you can see, the clock itself was $85, but after shipping and taxes, I paid $110 for this clock. I bought it off a Marketplace. This is the clock itself. It's a Junghans. It was made between 1917 and 1920, as far as I could tell. And the seller, if I could get to his other items. Stand by, let me get to his other items. He's got quite a few clocks, and some of them are really nice clocks. He's got this Black Forest Blue clock that he's selling for $4,500. This thing is huge. It's something like a trumpeter clock. There's the music box to it. But that would be really nice to have. I will try to leave a link to his marketplace channel in the description of this video if it'll work properly for me. There's a 1900s anniversary torsion clock with a disc pendulum for $165. That is a fair price for that clock. Panda movement. But anyway, let's get to my clock. Here it is, all boxed up. So we're going to open it together. Bubble wrap. I asked him to put bubble wrap in, and here's the clock itself. There's a little latch right here to open up the top of the clock. I see the case is coming apart. I'm going to have to glue the case. It shouldn't be coming apart like that. There's one of the pins to hold the movement in. Now this one's got a hinge on it, but all the rest of them should be loose like that. It has a pendulum, at least it had a pendulum. I'm going to find it. Here's the pendulum. It's hard to do things with one hand. So let's move some stuff around. The hammer was bent. I had to take it and bring it out this way. The suspension spring is broken, and so I have to put another suspension spring on. But we'll go ahead and take the hands off. There it shows Junghans. It's got a tapered pen that holds the hands on. And then the washer. It's sometimes easier to take the minute hand with the washer off. I think that might be part of the hand, and then the hour hand. And now you unscrew these pieces here to take the movement off of the dial of the clock. This last one is bent. Let's see if we can straighten that one out without buggering up the threads. Maybe glue the paper dial down some. It's held into place by these little brads, but it's sticking up here, so I think I'm gonna maybe put some Alien's glue on it. I'm not for sure. It's supposed to have two of these, but it doesn't. It only has one. And that's what holds the movement down to this seat board. So maybe I can come up with another screw. As you can see, the chimes is working. The crutch is bent. If I hold it just right, it'll tick, even though the suspension spring is broken. but it needs to be cleaned up. And I need to take pictures so I can figure out how to put this thing back together. Now, the first thing you want to do before working on a clock and taking it apart is take the power down. Because if you don't take the power down, you are going to get hurt. So I have a key that fits. I have my homemade letdown tool. You give it a little bit of a wind. Move the click out of the way. And you let it down in your hands. Of course, the key I chose has got this string on it. I'll get rid of that string. And you let the power down until you can move the click and the keeper doesn't rotate. Now you have to do that to both the time and the strike. And you don't want to use a key like this because putting this thing on, you can't, and you will hurt yourself. So now that the power is down on both sides, I can start taking this thing apart. And even though the suspension spring is broken, I'm going to go ahead and take the crutch assembly off, but I want to put a little bit of scratch on both sides of this crutch assembly. That way I can put it back together without having to do a lot of adjusting. Because you assume that it worked before you took it apart. And the crutch assembly has got a Virgin crutch assembly. It's got a clutch system on it, so you can move it back and forth to put it in beat. Now these things are pressed on, and if yours is loose, you might have to push it on to keep it tight. And to get the leader off, you bring the notch up to the foot of the crutch and give it a twist. Let me show you that again since my camera was off. You bring this notch up to the foot of the crutch and give it a twist, and it'll come off. It won't come off any other way. Same way to put it back on. You know, push it in, give it a twist, and it slides up and down. It doesn't have a rack and snail on this thing like your newer cuckoo clocks. Here you got the star wheel that operates the gong. Here you have the count wheel that tells you how many times it's gonna strike. Let me put a hand back on so I can show you how it does strike. There's 2 tabs on the hour wheel that lifts up what would be known as the lift lock lever, which is this little bitty piece right here that swivels back and forth. It's held on place by this screw, and it has a spring to bring the rack stop lever back down. But as it turns, the lift lock lever lifts the rack stop lever to put it in motion. Taking this little keeper here off, this C-clip, that's what holds the what would be known as the minute wheel with minute pinion. And this little brass piece just came off, so I think that goes on top of the minute wheel with minute pinion. Now I could take the hour pipe off, and here's the 2 tabs that I was telling you about. I don't know if this thing strikes on the half hour or not. The tabs look to be the same length. And I like using this set of tools that my son got me. I don't like taking a pair of pliers to nuts because they will bugger up the nuts. And sometimes you have to take a pair of pliers to them, but for the most part, I will not use a pair of pliers. Now this spring here, it goes into a slot that's on this lever here. So, I think I'm going to take this tapered pin out to remove the rack stop lever. And I'm going to have to do that off camera because I can't see with this camera in front of my face. It was a bent wire, but with that out of the way, I could take the rack stop lever, part of it, out of the way. And now, when I take the plate off, I should be able to take it off without anything interfering. Go ahead and take these off. Which is to hold the click down in place. Now these nuts seem to be bigger. And so I'm going to have to take a pair of pliers to them. And now hopefully I could take this top plate off and everything stays in place. No, because this is going to prevent me from taking the top plate off. I'm going to see if I can take it off. Stand by. And I showed you this in another video, but you could take a pair of dikes and put it underneath and give it a squeeze, and you can get these off. Now, to put them back on, you have to think outside the box. But I had to put a couple of nuts on to do that. And now I should be able to lift this top plate off. Like so. Now you want to get pictures of this, so that's what I'm going to have to do now. And I would suggest not only taking pictures down on top, but also from a couple sides, especially where they have all the gears. That way you can figure out how to put this thing back together. And I'm just going to put a T on this plate, even though they're probably the same. I just want to make sure that I put the wheels back in where they need to go. And you might want to take pictures as you take parts off. Of course, this wheel went right here. And the escapement wheel went right here. Because this is part of the time side. Now the strike side is going to be a little bit trickier to put together, but that's as far as I'm going to break it down. The bushings look fairly decent, so I'm going to put this thing in my cleaner and then put it all back together, and we'll get back with you. To clean up the springs, you can either hit this thing on a piece of wood to get the cap to come out, or some people will hit the bottom part here, which will force that cap off. But I like hitting it with a piece of wood. And it hurts, but it works. And then you can pull this part out, and once you get so much out, the spring will start unwinding in your hand. And if you're afraid of these things, wear a pair of gloves. I've got a glove right here, but this ain't my first rodeo. And once you get it down to where it's connected to the barrel, you push it to get it released from that pin, and now the spring is out. And you might want to take a picture of how this thing went in so you know how to put it back in. But the spring looks like it's in really good shape. I'm going to take my brittle pad to part of it. And you can only go so far. Now you can use some WD-40 while cleaning these springs, but make sure that you clean the WD-40 off afterwards. And each spring is different depending on what the spring looks like. Is depending on what I'm gonna do. This spring looks in really good shape. There's a spot right here. I don't know whether it's rust or dried up oil. But that's all I'm going to do to the spring. I'm going to clean out the barrel. And I'm going to throw this in my ultrasonic cleaner. Without the spring, of course. So this spring, I'm going to set to the left. And I'm going to take this spring out, which I marked it with a T. That one's a little bit easier. I'm going to set that one to the right. Now I'm going to go ahead and put these in my ultrasonic cleaner. Here I have the case glued up, and I got these wires on it to keep it tight. I got the dial glued up with Alien's glue, and so now I gotta wait 24 hours for the glue to dry, of course. And then I'm going to take some wood refinisher to the case, either New Life furniture mask or Howard's Feed and Wax or something. But we're getting there. I just need to take it off my bed because I have to wait 24 hours. Now I have all the parts out of the cleaner. Just trying to put it back together. And I'm going to do that off camera for the most part. But I just want to show you how to put the spring in. You find the tab, and then you put the hole of the spring in that tab. And that's the hardest part. And once you get it started, you just work the spring around. And when you get to this first section here, you have to go on top of it, and then everything else is easy. You just work it around. For some reason, the spring is not going down. There we go. Again, if you don't feel comfortable, you should wear gloves. I have eye protection on. My glasses are safety glasses. They got safety lens in them. And once you get it worked in, you'll be able to put this entire section in. I need to use a key to tighten it up some more. There we go. It fell into place. And then you want to make sure the spring is below that lip. And so you get a board with a hole in it, and then you just grab hold of the barrel, making sure the shaft goes into the hole. And now it's all even below the lip. So you grab your cap. In this case, the beveled of the cap goes out, is what you see. And you put that on. Now the first one gave me a little bit of problems. Hopefully this one won't give me no problems. You just, that's what I have the socket for. get it started and work your way around. And if I was to put marks where these notches were on the sides, it might have been easier to do this, but I don't like putting scratches on parts unless I feel it's absolutely necessary. I have taken vice grips in the past to put these things on. I don't know what's causing this not to go down like it should. I wonder, and I'm just going to try this, if the beveled edge should have went down first. I don't believe so. Now this cap might be a little bit not true round, just like with the last cap, and putting marks on the case would have helped. But I'll figure it out. The winding stem kept pushing the cap back off, but it's all on now. I oiled the spring prior to putting the cap on, so now it's time to put the movement together after I take a toothpick to every one of the pivot holes.